Good damn afternoon, Americans. Jericho Green here with you once again, people. I am utterly confused. I'm hoping that one or some of you can help me with this. Now, we have Kamala, the Ugandan nightmare, Miss Guy herself. She is the border czar, correct? You guys stop me if I start saying things that aren't true. She is the border czar, which means she is supposed to go to the border and impose policy. Then we got that whole runny shit sandwich still going on in Afghanistan because there are still Americans left there and the Taliban is still armed with all of our shit. Then in California, here in California, the petri dish, the testing grounds for what's coming to yo ass, you have this recall election, which there is a good chance that Gavin Bang Your Wife Newsom can be recalled. Jericho, why do you call him Gavin Bang Your Wife Newsom? Because that fool banged his best friend's wife. Check it out. So you have all of these things going on. So she gets to do a political eeny, meeny, miny, mo. So out of the border, and I'm using that word very loosely because a border implies some type of barrier, some enforced barrier. So we have the border, we have Gavin Bang Your Wife Newsom trying not to be recalled in California, and then you have the debacle, the disaster known as Afghanistan and the subsequent pullout. What my brother say, I was talking to my brother about it. He said those kind of pullouts are reserved for prom night. So you have all three of those, and Kamala, the Ugandan nightmare, gets to pick. So out of those three, what do you think she picked? You think she picked Afghanistan because it's an international disaster? No. Wrong. What did Charlie Murphy say? Wrong. No, I know. Because remember, guys, she's a vice president for the United States of America. She is the border czar, and I don't like the word czar. It sounds a little too Soviet for my taste. But she is the border czar for the United States of America. So, of course, she is going to pick the greater good for the entire United States of America and shore up our border and guarantee our sovereignty. Wrong. Nope. What she picked? She picked coming out to California to hit the campaign trail for one of the shittiest governors this country, definitely this state, has ever seen. So she flipped the bird to Afghanistan and all those involved, the families of the dead servicemen who were killed in the bombing, all the ones over the last 20 years, the Americans left there, all that. Fuck you all. Here. This is for you guys. So then the border, the sovereignty of our country, our safety. I'm sure there's some border towns there that would love a little extra attention to that border. That's for you guys too. She decided to go help her cronies, her homie, try not to get recalled. Why should he not be recalled? That's the one thing nobody should have a problem with. But that's called desperation. He called in a favor. He pulled an ace out of his sleeve, out of his very expensive tailored sleeve. He called in a big favor. She's like, Gavin, come on, man. He's like, hey, I'm pulling the card. I need you. I'm about to lose my job. So she says, fuck Afghanistan. And she already turned him down for that once. Like last week, he asked her to hit the campaign trail. She said, no, I really need to focus on Afghanistan. But I guess a week later, everything's okay. So she's okay to leave her post and go out there to California to campaign for that asshole not to be recalled. There has got to be some kind of rule against that. But we have two disastrous, historically fucked up situations going on, but you decide to hit the campaign trail for Gavin Newsom in California so he does not lose his job. If it's gotten this far, you don't deserve your job. You had over 1 million people sign a petition to get it on the ballot to get your ass fired. But our vice president decided that that was more important than other things in this country. And you can throw in, there's a million things more important than going out to California to help that dummy. Inner city violence, poverty, poor education, poor nutrition, you name it. Watching the grass grow, washing your hair, picking gray pubes out of your teeth, all of those things would have been better, 100 times better than going to help Gavin Newsom. So that's another tally mark in the column of why Kamala Harris sucks. Now, Taliban, oh Taliban. Speaking of Afghanistan, that rhymes. I didn't even mean to do that shit. Poet, don't even know it. So the Taliban, they did something far worse than Kamala Harris did. I mean, way worse. Think of the worst thing Kamala Harris could ever do, times that by 10, and then 1,000,000, and then it won't even compare to what the Taliban just did. Because as you know, they are the new rulers, the new owners of Afghanistan. More specifically, Kabul, the capital of Afghanistan. So, the Taliban's in charge. So what do you do when you buy a new house? When you move into a new space? You redecorate. You want to make it your own. You want people to go in there and know that that place belongs to you. You don't want anyone else's decorative influence to be seen. So you got to get up there and start moving shit around and hanging pictures up, maybe doing some painting to make it your own. And the Taliban with Kabul is no different. So around Kabul, they have these murals, and they're of, I guess there was a Japanese reporter that was killed in 2019 and some other people and some group who goes around even in the face of persecution and puts these murals up, you know, trying to add a little happiness, maybe a little positivity, a little color to Kabul. So one of the murals that they painted in Kabul is of, let me get myself together before I say his name, the patron saint of fentanyl, the father of one of the most violent summers in American history. You know, the summer of love, summer 2020. The man who got 5 funerals, that is more funerals than Martin Luther King Jr. and presidents. This man also got a golden casket. Huh? Do you realize how important he is yet? I'm talking about the one, the only George Floyd. So they had a mural over there for George Floyd. Now, I know that people can feel a certain way about certain things that go on in places in the world, and things can be felt around the world. But I find it very hard to believe that in Kabul, way over there in Kabul, somebody let me know how many miles Kabul is from Minneapolis, all the way over in Kabul, dealing with what they deal with in Kabul. I find it hard to believe that the average everyday Kabulian, Afghan person in Kabul gives a half of a shit about George Floyd, some black dude that got killed by the cops, as they see it. I don't think they give a shit. I think they got to worry about other things like, I don't know, religious persecution, terrorist attacks, electricity, burqas. I seriously doubt the people of Kabul give a shit about George Floyd. Nor would the people of America, say, I don't know, our capital, D.C., the filthiest part of our country, America's bumpy taint. I'd find it hard to believe that people in D.C. would give a shit about some dead person in Kabul. And I know it sounds mean and harsh, but that's the truth. Especially with all the other things that people in D.C. have to worry about. Corruption, violence. But they care about some dude who got killed all the way over in Afghanistan. I doubt it. But how dare the Taliban You've done some bad things. You've killed Americans. You've killed your own people. But how dare you tear down a mural, paint over a mural of George Floyd? How dare you? That is the worst thing you've ever done, Taliban. And then here's the best part. We're bringing thousands, tens of thousands of people from Afghanistan here. But you know something else that goes on in Kabul and Afghanistan as a whole? They don't like the alphabet soup room. LGBT, however many letters you want to add onto it, they don't play that shit. It is against the law for someone to advocate for gay people. You can't even get out there and say, hey, let's give them a chance. Can't say that shit. You might lose your head. And they're bringing tens of thousands of those people there. So I fully expect all the pussy hats and all the flags and the rainbows and everything. I expect you guys to be in full force, because those people are not going to cross that imaginary line and say, hey guys, let's sit down and talk. Let's get to know each other. So what are you going to do? You're importing tens of thousands of homophobes. Finally, your boogeyman is here. Finally. Yes, you guys can dance in the streets because that homophobic bully, that homophobic killer of gays that you say is here in America is now here in America. You know why I say that? Because that's what can happen to your ass in Afghanistan if you're found to be gay. They will beat, rape, and or kill you. Which is weird that you would rape a dude for being gay. Yeah, that's for another video. But that's what can and will happen to you. So tens of thousands of those people are being brought here. What? Let's say the longest it takes them, what, a couple months to vet somebody? That's it? They're going to lose all those beliefs in a couple months? I don't think so. And they're dropping them smack dab in the middle of America. So all of you protesters out there, all of you allies, get ready, because you got some work to do. They're bringing them in by the tens of thousands. So Ku Klux Trans, get ready. Your boogeyman has arrived. Are you ready? I doubt it, because you're not serious, but you better be. Because tens of thousands of those people that you hate and you call the scourge of this country, they're here. Let's see what you do. Let's see what happens when you roll up in these Afghan neighborhoods talking that shit. I have a feeling people are going to be kicking off a lot of leather sandals, whooping a lot of ass. Man, let me get the hell up out of here and get home to my beautiful wife and kids. But you know how it goes. I try to be done with the left, but they just won't let me. Please subscribe. Hit that notification bell, because every time it rings, a piece of shit lefty cries. Get your Jericho Green notification tone link in the description box. Utilize a PayPal link, Teespring link, jerichogreen.net, and Rumble. I am Jericho Green. Man up, out.